Elevators won't be working.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Come up, sir.
Roll call. Roll call.
We usually do.
Yeah, not normally, but.
My name is Greg Westbrook, Carol and Jesse.
Nice to see you.
Justin.
Okay.
So, I think I bifurcated this, situation about 12 different things, but,
I remember last time we were here, you were gonna look at permeable patio. It sounds like that changed too.
that, was not accepted by the client.
Oh,
So I don't control that.
no, I just,
So, I do need some clarification. And, so I was listening to the video this afternoon for a couple minutes. And how did we end the meeting last time?
last time we tabled it, by
Right.
joint agreement,
Right.
because you were gonna review the patio,
Right.
permeable
Right,
patio.
other concepts. right?
Yep, and see what,
And so with that, and I've talked to Joe about this before, but tabling to me means I don't have to pay again for the application of my other meetings.
Well, from my understanding, we tabled the conversation. We didn't, because we didn't accept your application. So we actually tabled the conversation, not the meeting with that application. Because otherwise, if they accepted the application, they would have had to vote on that application, and they didn't vote on the application because
Yeah.
Well,
I
he
agree
was-
with all that, but.
he was talking about modifying it from
Right.
the original one during the meeting.
Right,
Going away from the deck to the other part. I mean, part of the, when we have these hearings is, we go to that point before we accept the application. People can make changes.
Right.
That's part of the whole process.
We also we said we needed a survey. We would need a survey.
If they were gonna go with a deck. But they were talking about going through the patio, which didn't affect the
so I
coverage
paid
depending.
twice for the same thing.
Yeah, that was something that we were gonna discuss as far as the application goes, because
So you withdrew the first application, now you put it
No,
forth another one, or?
Mutually.
Yeah,
If we
So-
didn't vote to accept the application,
no,
it's still open.
there
Right.
was a
So we
vote.
can't charge them for a second one.
There was a vote and they didn't accept the application. The application was
Denied
not
the
accepted.
application.
They didn't deny it.
no, we didn't, we tabled everything. We didn't
Voted it.
we didn't vote on that.
anything.
No. No, she shouldn't have to pay again, I wouldn't think.
Right.
Okay.
It says they decided not to accept.
No, I wouldn't think they could have to.
So we didn't accept the application, we didn't deny it, we didn't vote on it, it's still.
Right, we tabled it because they were,
Decided not to accept the application and tabled the public
Yep.
hearing. So if the public hearing was tabled, there should be no additional fee.
Yes,
Because
meeting.
we just have to have another because we.
Yep.
We tabled the public hearing, so to have it again, there's no fee, no new
I
fee
wouldn't think so
for-
either.
Okay.
Because you discussed changing the
Right.
They were
application
changing-
to.
Changing the application,
Yeah.
Yep.
so we tabled. yeah.
Pavers and things like that.
Yeah. You were gonna investigate that
Yeah.
and come back with us on.
Get a thing, so you paid a second fee, Greg?
Yeah,
Yes.
he
Alright, then
paid,
we'll get
two
a
applic-
thing to get it refunded.
he paid a fee for another
150?
building permit and then another. So
Well, the
for-
building permit,
I don't understand. that.
No,
Everything that gets tabled
The
is.
building
always
permit
fine.
would be the same technically,
right, everything's the same,
It's just you've modified it.
changed it.
right?
Cause we
Right.
tabled the public hearing for an opportunity to change it. So
Okay,
yeah, so it should all be refunded. So I'll just put in a voucher to the town board.
Plus the interest. Just.
Careful that.
Careful, careful,
I
Yeah,
would
we'll
say,
give you what the banks give.
Joe, I would
1/10
say-
percent.
careful.
you submit, you fill out the refund thing and have Ed countersign it as the ZBA chair. As the
Okay.
chair.
cause we did this once before with another resident, but I didn't have Linda sign for the refund, but it wouldn't hurt.
I would think
right?
it should be, yeah.
Okay,
and then put it in, then when they do it at their board meeting on the 14th, they'll issue a check.
Sounds reasonable to me. That's why I agree.
Yeah,
Okay, so
And
the
then you
next
can
one is, just make sure we got alignment on the three variances. One is the overall lot coverage,
Mhm.
right?
right.
Second one is the south property line distance issue, because it's not the 10 feet or 12 feet, whatever is required there. And then the third one is front up to high water mark, right? I believe that's the three.
Well, it's not the high water mark. There may be one for that. In addition, but it was the advancement towards the lake compared to the adjacent properties.
It's a good change.
But the south lot line isn't an issue because it's not going any further than it already exists.
That's correct.
So that's not.
That's 12 feet,
Yes, 12 foot 2 inches, according to the thing. in here.
and it's. Yeah, I don't,
We talked about that just like we did here.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It wasn't a burning issue is the way I was.
So the variances are the lot coverage and the distance to the lake.
Right,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
because of the, well, I don't know about the other distance to the lake measurement, what that is.
Cause
Um,
the other
so-
distance to the lot line is 14 foot, so that's fine.
Right, but I'm talking about the rule is if you have
Right, to the lake.
to the property here, you can't put your property or anything building in your property closer to the lake than the average between the two of them, and this is already in front of the other two.
well, one may be able to say that with the new plan of a 8 foot wide, 20 foot long deck. That's pre-existing also from the wooden deck here.
The existing wooden deck is already 8 foot out.
Right. 8.5 feet.
So you're not going out any farther. You're not going out any farther, but we still got the overall coverage. And
We're gonna get to that too.
Okay.
Well, and it does change the viewpoint because you've extended it out farther, so that's new construction. New construction still has to meet the guidelines.
How is that different than the south?
It's pre-existing deck. But this is new construction. So therefore it falls under the guidelines because it's new construction.
But a measurement is a measurement. If it's 8.5 feet off the front of the house to the lake.
Like I said,
Okay,
this is new construction. So,
but it's already been established that 8.5 feet is the baseline.
that's just a pre-existing situation, but you're extending the width of it. The whole point was to not change the view to the lake.
Understand that. So that's denied, in your opinion? If I were to make that an argument.
In my opinion, that's 100% variance. Now what's the distance between that and the high water mark? Is that within the variance? That's the existing buildings, 23,
Right,
so it's gonna be
minus
15,
8.
-8. right?
15-ish. And what's the code for distance to the lake?
20 feet
20 feet, so that is
or the average
of the average of the two.
yes, and
So-
if it's over 20 feet, then you have to take the average. And according to our current law, the home is actually I think 3 or 4 feet into the max that they can go. So
What was the distance for the max they can go?
if you look at this picture. you
No,
can see-
yeah, I guess that
the
part.
the max they could go would,
Because they got that on the survey at 23.
Right to the front of the house.
7. I believe that's what you're referring to.
35.5 feet is the max distance. Any structure for that.
Okay, so
property.
they're already inside that.
Correct.
That's why I was bringing it up. So it's got to be either the average or the other part. So you're already pushing too close to the lake in the front by either one of those.
The existing one is also causing a problem.
Well, the existing one's already there,
Yeah, it's pre-existing.
right?
Before
New
the-
construction counts as new construction.
What he's saying is,
Which means-
That's fine.
if the existing one were to be built today, it would still require a variance.
Correct.
So there's two variants. One's the distance to the lake by either method and the other one is the lot size
Right.
or the lot coverage.
So my final question around this preamble is, I prepared a document for you guys to look at. Just in exchange of data, really, okay? You know, we're gonna be tonight, not here.
It's okay.
You can see it.
I can go down and make
I
additional
don't
copies
think so.
if you need
Yeah, I
them.
can make more
Sure.
copies. I can make more
Oh.
copies.
Just gotta wait now.
We can share.
So there's been some conversations also, myself and Joseph, around the definition of a structure. And so I looked it up. And they went to New York State Code, building code. And it says that which is built or constructed, that's a structure, right?
Right. This is a
So
structure.
it's all inclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a curb bath. It's a sidewalk, private owned. It's a asphalt driveway. Get a little piece of that on this one here. It's the stones and.
So you're talking about permeable area, not
Which is- right,
structure.
right,
That's
right.
different things.
So. My thought process, let me go through the first part and I'll go through the second. First part is that I think we all agree that the lot size, 30% of the lot size halfway down. Is 1,589 square feet. I think that's pretty close. It's either 1,589 or 1,590. So. And then south side existing is the covered deck walkway. We don't understand what that is. It's clearly called out there. The east side existing is the 84 square foot wood porch. The north side is a set of stairs coming off of the bedroom here, I assume. I never been inside the house. And that's 27 square feet. And the new east side porch was 12 by 28.4. And that's where it changed. And so look at the next one. Here's the lot size still is 1589, south side is 103, east side is 84. New east side porch, 860 square feet versus 340 square feet. So that's a significant reduction on the applicant's part. And finally, you total those up. You get to 1,500, you see it right there. So it's 1,790. That 1,790, if you divide it by 52.1 to get to, that is equal to 1% based on these 1,589 square footage. So you just take 51% of those and it comes out to that number. So my question really is that we moved it from a 38%, 37.2 in the prior application to 33.8 today. So let's just accept that as.
Well, that's,
It's not all inclusive yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go there next, okay? Right. So
that's based on measurements that you are taking from this, it's not from the official survey.
correct. We
Okay,
don't have an official survey, right?
for that, we're gonna need an official survey.
That's fine. That's fine.
Just making sure you understand that.
So, okay. I use my,
I mean, you're already admitting to the fact that you're more than the 30%.
right, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, not speaking at all. And then I want to go into the conversation of the remaining hardscape, I'll call it.
Mhm.
Okay, and if it's a structure. And if I change that structure from permeable to non-permeable to permeable, what happens? I think I lost that thought here.
So I did some research too on the permeable stuff, because it was, like I say, I thought that was a great idea to go that way. Turns out permeable for the most part is more of a label. For example, some of the most common ones that I was able to find data on, they were permeable, but they were 40% solid. This is 40% permeability, I mean, so they were 60% solid. So yeah, they allowed the water to drain through it, but it wasn't like 100% permeable. Okay, so then you have to find out what you're gonna use for that and do the calculations based on that, because if it's 60% brick or some are plastic, yeah, whatever they're made out of, then the rest of it is permeable. So you get a reduction in the straight up area.
Prorated.
Exactly. And I looked at a whole bunch of different kinds to try to find out, because I thought that was a neat idea,
You still need that.
Yeah.
Right,
but it doesn't reduce it 100%.
right, got it, okay. So that led us to talk about, as an example, the,
The walkway, I think was
the
one thing we were talking about.
walkway from coming off the porch to the lakefront. Okay, and that is 160 square feet. We'll make that a dimension, okay, but we're gonna make that grass.
Mhm.
Okay. On the north side. There are, let's start at the top again, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
South side, cover deck, what we have it here, 103. The concrete walk to the lake we just talked about, that's 102. That would be converted to grass. The porch is self-evident already. It's 160 square feet, and therefore the new is 76 square feet. And then on the north side, we have the wooden steps, which are already claimed. But then there's two, one of them contains two propane tanks on a slab of concrete. And one of them didn't have anything on it. Probably was a garbage can or something.
It's still, yeah,
Still
covered.
still,
Yep.
right. But
well, that's where we get into the survey, gives us exact measurements and all those things, but just,
all right. So if we find that I can use a permeable paver. And what you just told me was that it's 40%?
well, that was one kind I looked at. It was, they were cement, I believe they were made out of concrete.
Yeah.
And they had holes in the middle of them. They looked like they were one of the more robust ones. They were 40% permeable, 60% solid.
Right.
But that,
So
how
my
to
other
they-
option would be to go to dig out 8 inches of depth. And you put clean stone there. And that is a full permeable space.
well, here's the problem. The state considers gravel coverage to be coverage. Now, I know what you're saying. You're talking about putting in drain stone,
Mhm.
which I would agree that that's
Reasonable.
permeable, yeah. But if it compresses and they can't drain, they consider that, because they consider gravel driveways to be that way. In fact, they actually spell out gravel coverage. Doesn't make sense to me that if you're using the round drain
Drain.
gravel, that would be considered non-permeable, but that's considered into coverage. So it's more than just permeable, the way the state rates it. It's in New York.
Have we ever
So-
looked at a driveway for lot coverage?
Yeah, we had to. Oh, that's part of what happened with the last one that ended up in court.
Yeah.
Because,
Yes, we did.
and we had, for a while, we had gone back with our previous CEO. He had said, oh, they just count the buildings. And then we found out, no, that was wrong. So we were, yeah, so that wasn't following state code. So that's when we got into the whole problem of, we've got no way to figure out. I mean, you could sit here and try to get close like we've done here by hand, but without a certified,
You'll have it. You'll have it.
yeah, I'm just trying to explain, bring Jesse up to speed on this. Without a certified
Yeah.
survey, how do we figure how big a walkway is? I mean, we've got no way to really do that. So they actually had one done, and I asked what they called that survey, because I've got a whole bunch of surveys for a lot of different properties. And most of them are just lot lines. The ones in Florida show distance from buildings and stuff and right of ways, but they don't calculate coverage. So there's a way to doing that, and we had somebody that came in and they did that. That's actually the first time I seen one that actually did the full blown part of it where they determined the coverage. But there was no way for us to do that. Even though we verified that the records, town records match the survey, so nothing had been changed, without review and that kind of thing.
I can grab that map if you guys want to see an example. Want me to grab that?
If you
I
want,
have
just
it.
for, I don't know if Jesse got a chance to see that or not, but what you'd would expect. And that's what the reason we've gone to, and I'm, I haven't done it yet, but they were supposed to actually put that in the checklist. They had it in building review, but not ours, which didn't make any sense. But because of that thing, everybody needs to know where you stand. I mean, if we grant a variance, it's gonna be based on real number, not what we kind of think the numbers are.
But we're gonna get within plus or minus 5 square feet, I'll tell you that. I've done that measurement already myself, right? And so,
But we need to have that documented.
and I agree with you, that's not, no problem at all.
So
The
everybody,
question really is, then on the west side, the parking area and the road right away. The parking area is 140 square feet. Convert to wash stone again. And the road right away,
I think that's still gonna be considered coverage, even though it's
I-
permeable. That's the part I was trying to bring up to you. When I read the state law, it was gravel covered stuff, which again, in some situations I can see, well, that's kind of being,
You look over here, they lay out.
if you're gonna be driving on it, you're gonna
Oh, no.
compact it.
Venezia is my surveyor.
Okay.
Anthony.
If you're gonna be parking and driving out, you're gonna be compacting it.
And
That's
his
really
gravel
gonna
driveway,
happen.
he's got a gravel driveway in the front of his counter.
But it should give me 40%.
We'd have to have a way
Hmm?
to, that, I don't think you're gonna get 40% unless you put something else in there.
There must be some sort of acceptable driving surface that's
There's
considered
gotta be.
permeable.
Well, like I said, when I looked at those, what they called the permeable
Yeah.
surfaces, and this is really the reason they have that here, and especially the concern was lake with the runoff going to the lake. The one that I saw that was the most robust, and I couldn't begin to tell you what it was because I looked at so many of them, because a lot of them were plastic.
Yeah.
It was actually basically form poured concrete blocks,
Looks like lattice.
kind of like lattice. It had, I think they were 4 inch, they might have been 4 inches thick, but they had no, they had like square openings and, you could put them together as a pattern. And they were strong enough, they looked like you could put stuff on now, which is, generally concerned. Some were just plastic. They put gravel in on top of it, kind of gravel, like you're talking about pea gravel in there. But those would have a shelf life of about 25 years, which gets into a whole other thing. Generally, they put a membrane underneath them, so the mud doesn't come up into them. It's kind of like you would a garden or something like that type of thing, how they constructed. But like I said, the one that I looked at was 60% solid, 40% permeable, which reduces by 40%.
Right.
The area. When it's done correctly. And we had that because we had these conversations last time, so I did some research just to try to understand what they had out there, and there's a lot of them. But they're porous and permeable are used interchangeably.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, and that is the problem. And then when I tried to explain this to the town attorney, she didn't quite understand what I was saying, and I called her and left a message and she didn't get back to me, but I was saying, is it the same? And then the more I looked it up, they use them interchangeably. But they're not 100%. And that's the kind of thing we're trying to figure out.
So I was involved still in with the German Brothers Marina on Candidate Lake. And the town asked for, because of stormwater runoff,
Hmm.
okay, that would be a good application. And I think it would be. But then I started going to the engineering groups. And we use out of Rochester, Costage Engineering. Okay? And they said it worked great until you start pouring salt on it.
Smut breaks down.
Rolling on sand on them, whatever it is, those things get clogged, right?
Well, that's what they said. The ones I looked up, they said they've got an effective life of about 25 years because of debris and whatever,
Whatever
grass
happens in
rotting
the
down
winter
on
and
it.
everything else,
Yeah.
it's salt and everything else. So my question to you is for us to go through that work. It's not cheap
Mm-mm.
and I can get Anthony to give me a good price for the survey. But the rest of it is if I knock out the concrete wall to lake, make it up grass, that disappears. Let's just assume that for now. Okay? And there's nothing on the east side different.
Concrete wall to the lake? You walkway to the lake?
Walkway to the.
Okay, I thought it said walls. It's like, oh, that's a- Okay, yep.
Walk to lake, concrete walk to lake. And then
So where is that on the?
it's not on. That was my
Picture.
first.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I'm now in the second generation of this conversation.
All right, so you had covered, you had mentioned south side existing 103 square feet covered
Right.
deck walkway,
That's correct.
eliminating that, right?
Down here.
No, oh, okay, all right.
You're talking about this guy down here.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would disappear. And then the east side is the 76 new, it's already counted in the 33.9
Mhm.
X%, 33.8%. And then we have the north side, I will take three. I'll put stone down and I'll put a block, a cement block, be oval for the 2 propane tanks and the garbage can. So it's less than what it is here, that number. My number,
Oh, okay,
okay? 'cause you
Yep.
haven't seen it yet.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, right. And then the big one for me is the parking area. If that can be accepted to some process and we can get some engineer to state. Or I can probably get a manufacturer to state the performance of those kind of devices, right? I would bring that forward. And the road right of way, now you can, it's a right of way, right? So it's paved. But the question is, do we want to mess with that one? I think we've done a lot of movement here.
yeah, I don't
No,
know, can,
that's not counted in the,
At all,
it actually is called out in our code book that the right of way pavement is not
not,
part of lot coverage percentage.
okay. Wait a minute.
it is if it's included in the lot.
Yeah, it's included a lot.
Well, who maintains it?
Doesn't matter if it's included in the lot. See, some places they don't own the right of way, some places they own into the right of way. You have to deduct that right of way from the total lot size. So I don't know if his lot goes into the right of way or if it goes up to the right of way. That's what I'm talking about this. 'Cause
It's
this
by the
is,
survey, it needs to
Yep.
be done.
this is the
to
same thing we ended up
identify
with
it.
Casanova.
Yeah, okay.
Same thing on the other side. They actually,
His lot line actually comes to the other side of the right of way.
other side of the right of way.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, yeah, I missed.
So we had to deduct that and then take what's left. So you can't just go by the survey lot size. You have to start deducting those kind of things. Yeah, so that's, so
one's
that
still
gets,
that one's still kind of open. The west side is kind of open still.
so they own, in this case, if the landowner owns to the middle of that lot, then that total lot size that's gonna be someplace in here,
5,297 square feet.
right, is gonna include that lot, that right away.
Right.
So that all has to be deducted from your total size or added in as coverage, either, same thing. And that's why I say that's the part that gets,
But there is no problem with the parking area. Is that correct?
if that's gravel, that's also gonna be considered coverage.
Maybe only 40 or 50% of it based on
It-
material.
yeah,
from the-
right.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's prorated on whatever the manufacturer
Mhm.
says.
I think that would be reasonable.
So let's call that one 40%. That's 64 square feet on 140. It's all right, 6. Brain is gone.
And this, all this is based on if the first variance is approved, correct?
Well, there's 2 variances.
Right, so
We're
if,
on 3.
well, if,
Actually the 2, because you get coverage in the distance
Coverage and the distance to the lake.
right? So
So if we vote on the coverage, that's not gonna affect the distance.
we won't vote on the coverage without a survey.
Right, so what I'm saying is if one variance gets voted. The distance to the lake, if it's voted no, then that voids the lot coverage.
It voids the
Variance,
need
right?
for the lot coverage.
Right.
So you wouldn't
If either one of
necessarily
them go
need-
down, the other one's done.
Right,
We-
okay,
We can't really
that's
vote
what I'm,
on one until we have the
It's
information.
not all of them.
Right.
We really can't do anything until we've got all the information.
okay,
So we're not afraid to make the surveys, let's say that right now. okay? And, but I wanna make sure there's an understanding. Maybe we'll put grass in the parking area.
As far as I'm aware,
Right.
that's okay. I'm just by way they wrote the law.
Right.
And the town doesn't have anything about you, doesn't have anything against you parking in your yard.
Right, you know,
Lord, I can't do that.
So am I reading this correctly?
With gates, you-
This is where the parking lot would be, correct?
correct.
Parking area? Okay. Now this is gravel here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that,
that's-
that map is not really good.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so like I say, we'd have to find out if that, it looks like,
It really is, the pavement starts. It's 12 feet on this side.
12.4, yep.
Yeah, and I can't read it down here, but
It doesn't actually have the distance on that one there.
so, but that. The pavement starts here. That's where the pavement is. I measured. my-
Okay, so that's,
That's the edge of the road. And then
so does the
maybe
right of way
look at
take it, and just, I mean, this is not that property you're talking about, does that right of way take a jog in there, or is that just a reference point to there? You know, that's what I'm talking about. Does the right of way go here? Basically, or is, cause you got this little thing here that goes in like that, or does it road actually take a turn?
Yeah, I think that's an arrow. It's not-
That's what I'm thinking,
it's
but.
not- It's not a line.
So is that right away there?
Right.
That looks like that's outside of, well, we'll have to get to something, sir,
That's
but it
okay.
looks like
Right.
that private drive is actually outside of your lot size.
Correct. That's what we believe to be true also. Okay.
By the way this is drawn, that's now that that's why I'm asking the
Right.
where the right of way is versus that. So if the right of way isn't in his lot, Joe, then it's irrelevant to what we're talking about here for this coverage.
okay.
But we have to verify that.
So I got the road right away at 80 and 140 for the parking area. maybe
Yeah.
Grass.
And that's what? 12.4 by,
50.
looks like it's pretty close to 50, huh? So that's a significant amount.
$32.5.
600 square feet.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm reading it.
Half, 50, yeah. 620 or whatever, but yeah. That's a significant difference.
So guidance is requested here.
But that isn't included in your calculations here?
It's not there. It's
Okay,
it's outside.
Be on
all
top.
right,
of
dude,
it.
so even if you did turn that into grass. Roughly based on what you got here, you're still at 33%. 33.8.
And I had the opportunity to thank, went to the clerk and candidates for giving me the, back to 2017. And there are, I'll just say, there are certain things there that are interesting. And, you see it 34, 35, so there, it's not like 30 is the number you can never exceed it, because it's been exceeded numerous times. So my belief is that there's a way to make this successful for you guys and for ourselves as relates to.
Oh, none of these things are, the reason we exist is because they're not set in stone,
Right.
but there is no precedent set by previous cases either.
We understand that. completely.
Okay, just making that point.
I tell you, I said it at Canandaigua Town Board.
No, you told us that before.
Planning board, 91 to 93. And so it's understand that our communication is fine.
I'm just Make sure everything's on the record, so you're not under any false pretenses.
So then I would talk to the client. And see if he wants to spend the smooch for the survey. And then. My hope would be that. I would come back next month with possibly that completed,
For the final.
and then talk about each way we wanna. adjust.
Yeah, unfortunately for this case, we do occasionally get them where there's more than one variance, but they're separate structures. And I've actually told people that they're better off splitting their
They're lucky.
things. But yeah, well, because if we
Yeah.
can't, if we turn down one of them, you lose the whole thing. In this case, it's not, they're together. So there's no, you've got two issues, they both have to be resolved to the satisfaction of the majority of the board. So, so like, if this comes out to be 33.8, that's a 10%, a little more than 10% variance. And then we got, we'll take a look at the
So I
distance.
got everything news for everybody here. Big news. Big news is my wife is out in Portland the last 3 weeks. She was tending to our daughter,
Portland, Maine or Oregon?
Morgan. And we had 11-pound, 15-ounce baby.
Whoa.
Oh, my goodness.
Well done.
Goodness.
Huh?
11 pound, 15
15
ounce.
ounces, I said the doc.
12-pound
I said the
baby.
doc.
I know, I worked with two guys that were told.
Yeah.
Oh
my
my gosh.
That poor girl.
That poor girl.
How old's
Yes.
your
What's it
daughter?
for?
Oh.
No, I meant the mother.
We're worried about the mother. We're worried about the mother.
Well, the previous 12-pound boy that I knew of got hit by a car and lived, so that's any indication he'd be a tough kid, but yeah, poor mother, wow.
My goodness.
Oh, congratulations, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yes. Is this your first grandchild?
8.
8?
Oh,
Oh,
here.
wow.
They all live with us, real close to us, within
That's great.
50 yards.
Christmas must be wonderful at your house.
Yeah, it is. It's a great song.
Especially when-
So this one lives out in Portland with her Hungarian husband.
Oh,
That she met in Copenhagen. They moved to Beirut, and as soon as Beirut started Europe, they came back here.
Thank you.
That was a good move.
So,
Well, what they name him?
Simon Matthew. The other one is, son is Aaron, because it's Hungarian, that's how I pronounce the name.
Aaron,
I don't know his middle name, it's still the same.
With 8 of them, I think it's.
I forget my kids.
I have a granddaughter that's from, her name's a Hungarian name, Xenia, yeah, so it's a family name, so it's like Xenia, yeah. Xenia, I was like, what? That's a third generation name in their family, so yeah.
Okay. So
Cool, glad everybody's healthy.
And do I need to say that I'd like to have this table again?
Yeah, I wouldn't, like I said,
Yeah.
I fully agree that that's the,
Yeah.
yeah. Cause I don't want to have us forced to rule without incomplete information, because
So that's questions.
Are we gonna vote on someone gonna make a motion to table it?
I move we table it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that's agreeable to the client. You're not the client, you're the representative of the client.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
Go watch your Yankees.
Thanks,
They
Greg.
better, no, they lost the last one.
Yes, thank you.
Can I get a copy? I think I want to use an example of Anthony.
But yeah, I'll make you a copy.
Thank you.
You're okay with redacting some of the information?
That's fine, yeah.
Just the personal information.
Personal information. You've done a lot of work on this, sir. You're to be commended.
It's a hobby.
Well, as you just brought before, that whole permeable surface area was, I like it's a novel idea to a situation we've had problems with for a long time around here. And like I said, I spent quite a bit of time trying to learn more and more about them. There's, you get on the internet, and you get 400 things on it,
I
but
can drag a paver company president in here, tell you that it's 100% coverage. So it's all what's written.
Yeah, well, that's what I said, that was my concern was. How permeable is it? I mean, how permeable is it before they classify it as being permeable? And then when I got into the details of them, then it was, they explained how much the coverage was and what the permeability was. So they weren't 100%. I was kind of hoping it would be, but yeah, I wondered how they did the structure with, that permeable, but even if many of these places, if they can reduce their coverage by 40%, that can have an impact. And accomplishes all the same things. Like I say, some of the ones were they were basically a plastic grid. I wouldn't hold up real good around here, but in some areas, and then they just put in pea gravel and a screen underneath it. And keep it from, and they said they last at least 25 years. So
Longer, I'll be here.
hopefully I'll still be here, but. That's a hoping.
Okay, so was that the 13th then?
Yes, the 13th, November 13th.
Well, guess what? That's called World Kindness Day.
It's also my wife's birthday.
Be kind.
65.
November 13th.
She's got.
Your wife's gonna be 65?
Yep.
You're just babies. I can say that.
That's what I call her every night. Good night, baby.
Good for you.
Okay, all right.
Good
Smart
for
move.
you.
Have a good evening.
You too, sir.
Good night.
Drive careful.
Yeah, watch the deer.
Yep.
They're on the way.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Not that it's relevant to this, but I wonder, like in Honeywell Falls, for example, my grandfather's house. He's got probably 2 acres of exposed bedrock. It's natural, definitely not permeable.
That's a real good question.
Yeah. It doesn't get here, I'm just thinking of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the way they,
The landscape is
yeah,
that particular spot.
Okay, I just
Far from permeable.
have technically, the public hearing is still open. And that's why I have underlined in this one, because we're tabling, we're not concluding. So we're basically
oh, that's right,
recessing.
I forgot, we did that before, yeah, that's,
So.
yeah,
A correction in the minutes,
Yeah.
where it says public hearing concluded, I would say public hearing was recessed.
same thing here.
And same thing tonight.
Yep.
So
Sorry,
that
I
it
forgot
holds the
about
public-
that, because we talked about that the last time.
So it holds the public hearing open, we've recessed.
So I moved to recess the public hearing.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yo.
Alright.
I remember now.
I just don't want that to come back.
No, no,
and
no,
bite us
I
from
remember-
somebody else.
I am just used to closing the meetings and,
Getting it over with,
well, we're
Yeah.
done with that part of it, so.
right? Like I say, in the minutes, it says, public hearing concluded, I think that needs to be changed to recess in the minutes. When we get to that point for.
Okay.
Well, that's the next thing,
minutes,
that's the next thing
adjust.
we gotta look at, is the minute.
Yep.
And we wanna mark that as a edit,
As a. yeah,
because we actually
correction.
did talk about that the last time.
Yeah, as a
Correct.
correction, public hearing recessed at 8:25. Other than that, I don't have a problem. Again, that recess thing also alleviates that issue with having to
62
pay
days.
for the
Yep.
things again.
And it
I was
also,
hoping that I see your point
Yeah.
though, but I was hoping we could vote on just one.
oh, no, no,
The
I
distance to
understand.
the lake, but because it's one application, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
Because
we've
that-
actually had where they had 2 different issues, but they're separate
Right,
operations, and the one guy we advised you might wanna split this in half, because if it gets if you put it all in one permit, and any one of them gets shot down, you can't do anything for a
Right.
year.
right.
In this case, it's irrelevant because it's all just one.
I
Thank-
thought from the ending of the last meeting, we were going to have a survey at this meeting. That's
Right.
why I was,
It sounds like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then the guy changed his mind on the coverage thing.
but even still, to submit the survey with what everything exists now would have made it much easier for us, regardless of what he was doing. We could be working off of that.
Yeah, we'd still have
We
to
might have been
deduct.
able to answer some stuff tonight if we'd already had
True, but he would have had to come back and do another one with the changes. Like if they take the gravel out where they have the parking and turn it to grass.
Well, yeah, but the survey that we're gonna get's gonna show all that.
It shows up, but it doesn't have each
But
individual.
then then he would have to, you
You
know.
would have had to go back to
submit
the
the-
second one.
Do his page that says, okay, this part on here, I'm gonna take out, and turn it back to dirt and whatever, but.
Then you would have had to do a survey with the changes in there. Because they don't necessarily,
No, the
Add up each
survey is what's
piece of it.
existing, not what you wanna do.
Yeah, but
survey
it's
is gonna be
outline
what's there.
Specific areas, and if they're changing those
Right.
areas, they're already.
but they've got to have them clearly marked what they're gonna be.
I subtract, you guys saw my calculations hopefully in there, but I subtracted what he was talking about subtracting and it still comes out to about 34% from what I was figuring.
That's what he's got. 33.8.
And even-
I say the coverage thing with the changes that he's making and where he's at,
That would be
we're in that
considered,
vicinity.
but
It's that,
the 100%,
it's the it's the distance to the lake thing
because
that's,
the house is 3 feet into
right.
the current
You
max
know,
they could
it's-
go.
It's that deck coming out, even though he reduced it to what's existing with the 8 foot, but bringing it all the way over.
Still
The
new
way it's
construction.
angled, it now brings it closer, brings it out further.
And it's new construction,
Yeah.
Has to meet all the criteria.
Well, the water line's parallel to. Yeah.
That's another thing I didn't consider where the right of ways for the water line,
A
so.
little bit, but it's funny, on this one picture, on the Encore thing. It says that the distance of the house is 32.43 that we had gotten the last time. But on the drawing that we were just working with, it says from the corner of the house out, it says 22 something. So, again. Survey.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why, I mean, he's,
Survey.
yeah, people are doing their, I believe more times than not, they're trying to be honest about it, measure it, but they're measuring. And it's,
Right, it's just like my calculations on Encore, they're
Yeah.
not, they're
Yeah,
not
they're
accurate.
close, but they're not, right.
And if it's anywhere near that, I always request a survey. So.
Well,
Are we,
It's better down there, excuse me.
Did anybody,
we gotta
make a
review them.
motion for the minutes?
We gotta review them.
Oh,
okay,
So the one thing that we've already brought up is the fact that someplace in here,
Page 3.
mhm.
Change.
oh, we did,
Included to reset.
they decided not to accept the application and table the public hearing.
Yeah, but then it says the public hearing concluded and it shouldn't be.
Oh,
it should be
oh, yeah.
recessed.
Yep,
now how long can,
We should be careful with terminology, not accept, just in the future. It causes confusion because it implies that we.
Turn it
actually
down.
Didn't accept it as
Yeah.
opposed to accepting. It implies there was a vote.
Well,
there's two steps to it.
Yeah.
Okay, the first step is you accept the
Second-
application and when it's
second is-
complete,
Variance, yeah.
yeah, and the
We
second
didn't
one's the same.
deny.
So we didn't
just didn't
deny it,
accept
we
it.
didn't accept it.
Just didn't,
Right, but
they
saying
just
not
didn't
ex-
accept it.
so
But they
how,
would have denied.
So in
it
that,
if they
in that
had
case, we're
accepted
actually
it.
being technical.
Happen, it just.
so
I
how,
understand what you're
There should be
saying.
another word.
right,
Should be another word.
well, how is this different
Table.
from,
You can,
Table
you
the
can keep,
application.
you can table, you can
But he
table a
did it-
recess almost
But he
indefinitely.
did a whole new application.
As long as they're agreeable to it,
She should,
because then the clock doesn't start running,
Right.
but she shouldn't.
all right?
right, well, I mean, years ago, you may have been involved, there was a gentleman that kept coming in every month and applying for the same variance and was turned down.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
but
why the
and
law,
that's why, it
So
was
they-
because it was being denied.
Right, they changed the rule where you have to wait 12 months, so how
Yeah.
is tabling it, I mean, he could
Well,
table
tabling it
it
is because we're
every,
keeping
It's
the
not
public
making a
hearing
decision.
open. He's not getting a denial. and
the
then coming
application
back.
isn't complete.
right, so, but my thought is, he could do this for 12 months, is there a cap on how many times it can be?
Nobody
tabled?
can't build anything until he gets anything complete.
Right,
Okay,
Table
Yeah.
indefinitely.
yeah, it can be tabled, can go on.
okay,
Point of that 12 months is if
Pause,
we
yeah.
deny a variance, you can't have some clown in here just trying the exact same thing.
every time,
And that's exactly what was happening.
right,
Dramatic.
yep, yep.
Oh, no.
That's gonna say.
I only heard
No.
about it through some minutes
Oh
and
my
reading about
goodness.
it.
Oh, we lived it.
You know, the irony of that whole case, because it ended up going to court. He went to court. What he ended up building
Is exactly
was what this board suggested he did to do the very first time he came
Yeah.
in.
I told Casanova what to do, what he ended up doing.
So,
Yeah.
and that's what
Before he
we
even
asked
started.
for, is exactly what he ended up having to do, and it cost all of us. The same thing with Zedek in the town, cost everybody money. And it was exactly what this board tried working with him and said, okay, if you turn it this way and you do this. That'll solve the whole problem and you can build it, and like you say, he kept coming back. He wanted what he wanted, and by the time it was all done, he did exactly what you guys suggested.
He just wanted to spend more money, that's all.
No, it's a good no for an answer. So I move that we approve the minutes with the change, the public hearing reserved,
Recess.
recessed. Can't read my own
I
handwriting.
second.
I'll second.
I beat you to it.
Oh, okay.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Glad to see everybody here.
On a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, thank you for all the responses, by the way, too.
Yeah, sorry, I was a little late on that. I'm supposed to be in Florida. I didn't know.
No, I saw,
I just got back, so.
I appreciate everybody responding, it was,
Be there for a job.
Oh, that's me, isn't it?
Well,
okay.
thanks for asking.
We want a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Or, okay, I was asking him, do we wanna do a motion to adjourn yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
8:30.
Mikey's off.